Welcome back to the Sunday Business Page.
Pennsylvania is becoming a major player in the discovery and transport of natural gas and byproducts from thousands of wells in the Commonwealth. But the drilling industry also faces challenges to ensure worker and environmental safety in the process. Governor Tom Wolf recently received recommendations from a special pipeline infrastructure task force. A member of that task force, attorney Keith Coyle, shareholder at Babst Calland, based in Washington, D.C., joins us now on the Sunday Business Page with some perspective on the recommendations given to Governor Wolf. Keith, welcome to the show. It's great to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
Let me ask you first about the task force. What was this all about? What was your mission?
Sure. Governor Wolf decided last year to set up a task force to look at pipeline development issues that are affecting the Commonwealth. And we had our initial meeting, I think, back in July, and we met over the course of several months discussing a variety of issues related to pipeline development. And one of the things that I focused on in particular was pipeline safety.
Pipeline safety. I'll come back to that in a second. You know, I think most of us have a sense of infrastructure, and we know there has to be a lot of changes to infrastructure or replacement because some of the stuff is unsafe. I mean, Flint, Michigan is a classic example I mean, I know it can be corrected, but the bottom line problem up there is piping that's falling apart, right?
Sure. I would say first and foremost that the natural gas pipeline industry has a tremendous safety record. You know, statistics show that the industry itself spends like $19 billion annually on safety. So they have a very good safety record, and pipelines have actually gotten safer over time, not less safe.
That's good to hear.
Yeah. So, and I think one of the things that, you know, we focused on the task force was trying to make sure that the recommendations that we made focused on things that were going to make a very safe industry safer.
One of the things that I read from the Department of Environmental Protection, it's just struck me as I didn't realize this at all. And let me just read this to you. Almost 30%, that would be like 1/3 of the wells drilled in Pennsylvania were shut down because pipelines from the well to end users have not caught up with pace of drilling. Are we essentially saying we don't have enough infrastructure to meet the drilling, the boom in drilling that we experienced in the last few years?
Yeah, I think that's absolutely correct, and that's something that we've seen in Pennsylvania and in other parts of the country. The pipeline infrastructure has not caught up yet with the drilling that's already occurred. And pipelines are, you know, absolutely necessary link in the transportation chain to get oil and natural gas from the wellhead to end users. And they're actually the safest option available right now to move product.
You know, that sort of flies in the face of the Keystone Pipeline controversy, where a lot of folks thought that piping shale oil coming out of Canada was unsafe.
Sure. So I think when you look at individual pipeline projects that become controversial or get scrutiny, the companies that are advocating for those products or projects, they focus on safety issues first and foremost because that's what the public cares about. And I think when you look at the Keystone project, in my personal opinion, I don't think that project went ahead or didn't go ahead because of safety issues. I think there were other issues at play there. But again, if you look across the industry, it's very safe. Oil pipelines are very safe, and so are gas pipelines.
When it comes to Pennsylvania, then, what do you think are some of the most important recommendations that you made out of your task force to the governor?
So I think one of the most important things that the task force looked at was expanding the Pennsylvania One Call program. Statistics have shown, and these are the 811 programs that you read about in the paper. Call before you dig.
So bottom line is that if I'm going to do some construction on my site and I'm concerned that I might hit a pipeline, you dial this number?
Sure, you dial 811 and you call before you dig, and then.
And this is true even at home for homeowners.
In most states, there may be an exemption that applies to homeowners, but you know, from an industry perspective, I think for the most part, the industry is very supportive of these programs. They're cost effective, they're very efficient, and statistics have shown that they are very good at reducing third-party damage to pipelines, which is the leading cause of pipeline incidents and accidents.
Really? I mean, people are out there digging away without checking to see whether there's a pipeline somewhere?
Well, I wouldn't say that there's a rash of people that are out there digging away, but I would say that statistics have shown that to the extent that these incidents occur, and they are very rare, that third-party damage is one of the leading causes. But what we've seen through the expansion of one-call programs is a significant reduction over time in pipeline incidents.
We only have about 30 seconds left, but in addition to the 811 number, beefing that up, and pipeline safety, what are some of the, give me one other recommendation that you think is really important.
Sure, and one of the other things the task force talked about was emergency response training, making sure that the local first responders have the resources that they need, that the companies and industry are engaging them to make sure that in the event that something does happen, that we have the right resources on the ground to respond.
Very important. Bottom line, I take it now the governor implements, hopefully, most of what you recommended?
So, I mean, we'll see what happens. The governor has the final report. I think the plan is to send out the recommendations to the individual agencies and perhaps to the legislature to make a determination on how things move forward.
Keith, thank you so much for coming in. It was great to have you on the show. We appreciate very much your insight on this important panel and the work you're doing. Thanks again. We appreciate it. When the Sunday Business Page continues, improving the business climate for women entrepreneurs in Pennsylvania. We'll introduce you to one business leader who's beating those odds and one of her clients. Stick with us.
The Sunday Business Page will be back